Okay, so, well, the official welcome to our very, very first Zoom forum. And today we picked a title, Waking Up to the Health Inside of Our Bodies, because that's our main interest, our main focus, or where we say all the healing comes from. Because then all of us could be focused on health rather than in ill health. We're going to have the best outlook on this subject because we're focused on a reoccurring healing process that's just naturally connected to life. So this is why we came up with the title for today. And Mick and I, we got together and we very organically came up with the whole idea of speaking about the physical aspect of health, because we both had health issues or still have health issues. And when we found out, being in conversation with each other, we deepened a lot of our understanding, and we came up with this idea that we want to be doing this as a regular thing and providing a platform where that can happen, with not just with the two of us, but with more of us. And that was, I don't know, it sort of took off by itself. Mick, if you want to say something about that, how you know, it became stronger than we are. There was a power behind it that sort of shows we're on the road with this, and we are driven by a bigger power, which we are inspired by.
Yeah, for me, when I first came upon the principles, because of my background and because of my own health issue, I was looking around for what other people were doing with health in the Three Principles community, and I didn't see anything out there. Even though there seemed to be lots of stories of people being affected physically in a beneficial way from having an understanding of the principles. And Katya was the only website that I came upon who was saying overtly that, hang on a minute, there's a link here. There's a link between our Three Principles understanding and the health in our bodies. And so we got chatting, and like Katya said, this has been very organic, and it still surprises me. I mean, even at the Tikkun conference, that there's very little being overtly talked about. And so we got this together and said, well, why don't we do something together? And we have created an event, and out of putting that event onto Facebook, there's been such a huge response of support that I was deeply touched by the comments, and it really does feel bigger than us. It really does feel this is something that people can relate to, and this is something that's needed. And so I feel very privileged to be sharing this with you, Katya, and with everyone, really, or as many people as we can interest.
Yes, and I mean it's something we all know. This is the paradox in it all. We probably had to set up something or come to share about something that we already know, and this is true for the whole understanding of the principles. It's not something we need to learn. It's not something we need to do better or anything, but we already have the ability to be in health and we're already doing that 100% perfectly. So this is why we're calling this waking up to the health that is already there. And all that's really needed for that is an understanding, is the understanding of seeing for yourself how that is true, not that we have to do anything. And that was actually when I came across the principles, that was my biggest relief. The biggest relief was that actually I'm already doing well. I just didn't know it, and I was trying to fix something that didn't need fixing, and I was taking myself further and further away from the state of health because I was trying so hard. And it was actually running in the wrong direction with my trying, and it was completely innocent. It was completely innocent, and it was it was the best I could do at the time, and so now I'm actually very humbled by this because the physical body is the most real experience we can possibly feel in our whole life experience, because we live in it. I mean, we can touch it, we can feel it, we have pain, we have all sorts of physical things going on inside of our body, and it is very, very, very tempting to completely buy into the story of that. But nonetheless, through the years, and especially also after I started talking with Mick about it more and more and more, it got more and more clear. Actually, health is here now, and we just manage to misinterpret the symptoms, the signals that are in our body, and we try to do something in a very innocent outside-in way, though we could be just relaxing into just allowing life to flow through us. And it's very similar to how we see emotions. When we see emotions, it's already quite close to us, and it's hard enough to notice when we're caught up with something emotionally, to notice that it's thought. But it works on the physical level just in the same way. And so what our main point was in the title that we came up for today was like, there's really nothing to do but just wake up. And it is very easy to do that because life supports us in that. And I thought that's very, very hopeful. And actually, for me, it's not that I don't fall into my screen just disappeared for a moment. It's not that I don't fall into new challenges. I do. I'm not saying, and we don't want to be appearing, we're promising healing, we're promising you're going to be healthy all the time, but it's just about knowing that health is there for us, which brings us back into the flow. And when we're in the flow, actually, it's like passing weather. We're saying that when emotions pass through us, we have a thought storm and it passes through. And exactly the same way, things pass through our bodies. It's a never-ending journey. We will not stop learning. We will not stop running into some sort of thinking that takes us away from our natural state. But to know that the natural state is there for us is as relaxing on the physical body level as it is when we know that about our emotions. I don't know, does that make sense when I say that, Mick?
For sure. I mean, what comes to me when you're talking is I don't always wake up to the health that's in me, because, over the period of time since I had my diagnosis of sclerosis, my symptoms they've got better, they got worse, they got better, they got worse. And whether over time, since the Three Principles understanding, I was thinking about this today. Have they actually got better? I don't know. I really don't know. You know, I have all sorts of symptoms which come and go, but what I do know is that when I look towards the health behind the system, and not at the symptoms themselves, when I look behind it as to what's creating my experience, then my well-being and my experience of those symptoms improves dramatically, or has improved dramatically. And I would say that what you were saying about doing less, I now do much less to manage my state, to manage my symptoms, because I feel it's a feeling of being more and more supported in life. And again, coming back to the doing question, that's not something that I need to get better at. It's not something that I'm an expert at. It's not something that I can learn from anyone else. And we can't teach anyone else it. We can't teach, you know, Katja and I can't teach how to get this insight for yourself, or how to improve your own symptoms. All we can do is share how it has worked for us. And for me, that's what we're doing here, is trying to share a little bit our stories, trying to share what looking in this direction, what is the impact? What's the impact of looking in this direction? And that impact can be very surprising.
I mean, I had moments of that, how can I say that symptoms completely disappeared from one second to the other, only because I realized that there can't be a problem because there is nobody who can perceive the problem, because it's all made up right from the beginning. And it was like miracle. It was like seeing in the moment that we perceive something because we use our creative powers. But like in the state of deeper meditation, we don't notice our body. And I mean, in, you know, the years before I came across the principles, I used to be on the spiritual search journey, and I was trying really hard to relax. And I had a few experiences where I had really deep experiences of meditative states, where I know for sure that my body completely disappeared. There was no body. There was only awareness. There was only awareness, and there was clarity, and there was no symptoms. And then when I later, now through the understanding of the principles, somehow resisted of taking my physical symptoms so serious and woke up to the health that is already there, the symptoms just simply disappeared. I mean, it might sound weird, but, you know, one of the questions we had was whether this is really real, what we perceive in our physical bodies. Well, it is on the physical level, but on a deeper level, in a deeper truth, it changes, just the same like our emotions just completely shift when we wake up to the fact that it's thought. And it might sound, like a little miracle. And I'm also not saying don't go to the doctors anymore, but I'm just, what we're on about is to look in that direction and keep questioning our experience, whether, you can see where it really comes from. And then the healing happens right there and then. And the tricky bit is that we can't make that happen. And I can't either. I can only give myself to the higher power. And when I do that, and I simply really know that health is there now, then the information that gets displayed in the body is obsolete and it's not needed anymore. And therefore, the symptoms just fall away.
But we can't go chasing the falling of the symptoms.
No, doesn't work. That's the tragic. It doesn't work. And the more we want the symptoms to go away, the more they stick around. It's really, really knowing that they don't mean anything, that can lead to seeing through our creative process right to the bottom of where it restarts, because the creative process of life, the three principles, are happening all the time. And this is probably the juiciest information that I came to see, is that moment for moment for moment for moment, we are recreating. It's always moment for moment that I'm creating my experience anew. And this is why, for example, Sydney Banks said that healing is just one thought away. And that is true for us any moment, because the moments to pass, and then there's the next moment, and then there's the next moment. And in those moments, every single moment, we have the ability to come up with a fresh thought, which gives us a fresh experience. And that is as true for the emotional level, the mental level, as same for the physical level. Just to think, or to allow the possibility that that might be possible, opens doors. That's what opened the door for me. Just thinking it might be possible, that this is possible on the physical level, opened the doors for it to happen. Because instead of believing the reality that I found, looking at my body, looking at my symptoms, I was able to allow fresh creation in this moment, if I only consider it possible that there could be a fresh one. And it does happen. The better I get out of the way with what I want, the more that happens. Because life is recreating every moment. Every moment we have the possibility to come up with a complete different experience. And that's powerful. And it's like waking up to our nature, waking up to our true nature. And our true nature, our true default setting, is when we fall into a self-correction mechanism. That self-correction mechanism is there for us any moment, just one thought away. And this is why it's so close to my heart, because it's sort of completely changed my own health situation around. Because when I came across the principles, I was not as sick as I was years before that, because I had found some ways of sort of controlling it well enough so that I could survive. But I didn't really have a good quality of life. I was in constant pain. I had problems mentally. I was caught up a lot. Emotionally, I was an absolute wreck. But when I came across the principles, what I learned was that I didn't recreate my problems. I didn't recreate that which I knew was doing me no good, because I could see through the thinking of thought patterns that weren't serving me. And the funny thing is, most of it I didn't even see through. It just fell away just by itself, because I just knew that it was innocently looking through the eyes of the past that gave me all the stress, that gave me all the tension, and that gave me all the experiences in the physical body which were trying to point me towards giving that up. And through understanding the principles, just naturally, I got better and better and better physically. And I hear that a lot when I speak with clients, because even not just clients, but even just people in the 3P community, and people just tell me, yes, you're right, I got so much better only because I came across the principles. You know, I experienced my body in a complete different way. And it's just natural, because as soon as our thinking changes, our whole experience changes, and that's true for the physical body. I mean, this must cause some questions. I'd love to hear some questions, if Mick hasn't got anything.
If I haven't got anything to say.
I bet you have.
I've probably got something to say, yeah. No, but just speaking to everyone, it would be great if anything does come up and you want to ask a question. I mean, either make a note of it or jot it in the chat, and you can ask either Katya or I, or both of us, and we will try and bring it into the conversation. Yeah, for me, that thing of seeing new, seeing the potential was just huge. Seeing the potential for new thought, and seeing that my experience was created. My experience is a psychological experience. There's no way it couldn't be a psychological experience, whether it's a physical pain, whether it's tiredness, or whether it's any kind of bladder problems, all sorts of things that spasms I experience in the guts, all sorts of things. And any way I experience those has to come through my psychology. It has to come through my thinking and my awareness. And seeing that I have the capacity, the potential, infinite potential for a new way of thinking. That new way of thinking, just like Katya is saying, changes the experience. It means that I am not a victim of my previous experience. I'm not stuck. And that has allowed me to, just knowing that, even if I'm going through something very, very painful or very, very distressing, or that knowledge that underneath everything there is a potential. Underneath everything there's a potential for a completely new experience. That knowledge has enabled me to, again, like Katya is saying, it's a load of thinking can drop, a load of meaning about the way I'm feeling. I can drop any kind of, oh, why is this happening to me? I can drop, oh, this is always going to be like this. I can drop, because it's just bollocks. It's not true. It's not always going to be like this. That is one of the, if I was in the middle of a migraine, there is a habitual thinking that this is going to be like this forever and ever and ever. but it isn't true. And what the principles are pointing to is truth. And truth is something we can depend on. So, yeah, with a huge amount of meaning and thinking dropping away, then I avail myself to the natural self-correcting mechanism of the body. Well, that's been my experience, that the self-correcting healing mechanism, which we know from when we cut ourselves. You know, we know intellectually and in practical terms that when we cut ourselves, the body heals. But when it's something deeper, when it's something more chronic or more acute, how come we don't trust it? How come we don't trust that system? Is because we've got a load of historical thinking. Well, I certainly did and do. There's a whole heap of historical thinking which I have come to see that it needs questioning. It needs just challenging again and again with a sense of, is that really true? A sort of curiosity, a sense of not you know, what I sometimes hear in the three principles. Well, certainly myself included. You know, when people are quite new to the principle, there's a sense of, well, it's just thought. You know, it's just thought. I shouldn't be so silly. It's just thought. It's you know, all we're pointing to is to question with a sense of openness, or a sense of, you know, I like to see my body rather like a laboratory, you know, where I can view these weird things going on and see, well, okay, where's that coming from? Where's that coming from? What's the reality here? What's the truth? What's the you know, and it becomes much more playful.
So I'm sure you don't mean in the old-fashioned analytical way, you know, where this comes from and what does it mean?
No.
But looking in the direction of the principles.
Exactly, where my experience is coming from.
Exactly, yeah. and with an, like, I wonder if that could be thought, you know, so it's like that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then and it's like opening a door to see something new. You know, like when we say, oh, I don't know means fresh thinking can come in. It's like, it's inviting something new to know. And in that moment, we can only get better in all level. Because as soon as something fresh comes in, we always gonna wipe away some of that personal reality we created through our conditioned habitual thinking. As soon as we invite something fresh, we're creating stuff that's closer to the source. And closer to the source is always more comfortable for us. Anyway, I have got somebody who put a message.
We have got Jennifer would like to ask a question.
And I also got Lisa. And I'm apologizing because my answer to Lisa has suddenly appeared to all people. But that's obviously, I need to learn about the controls here. Apologies for that. But do you want to start with Jennifer?
Okay, let's go.
Who goes first? I don't know, but doesn't matter. Lisa's next then.
Okay, Jennifer, you are.
Okay, I see you've unmuted me. So, hello everybody. The question I had in mind was to ask you Well, I wanted to say thank you for your conversations, because I found that just listening to them and your way of seeing things has really helped me to see things differently, and to let life feel that life is flowing through me and healing me. That doesn't mean that all my symptoms have gone away or anything, but it's made life a much more fun experience, I must say, thanks to you. And then the question I had was about, maybe could you say something about how we have a tendency to feel pain and block our thoughts around that pain, and well, I don't know if that's something that happens to everybody, but I think that's what happened to me.
Could you just say a bit more about what you mean by lock around the pain? Could you?
Well, I could, for instance, feel pain in a certain, like at the moment I can feel it in my hand, okay? And then at one time I would want to take a painkiller to get rid of the pain, and then I became aware that the painkillers weren't really working, and but now that I can see life flowing through me and healing, I don't tend to focus on the pain anymore in the same way, and so it's not so important. I think.
Maybe I think I can sort of pick up what you mean with locking it in, or can't remember your words, but it sort of get a feeling of that it might be that when we give that pain some meaning, when we sort of find out what that pain means to us, we're somehow creating its existence through the meaning we give to it. Is that maybe the direction you meant to?
Yeah, well, I think that's very relevant, and in fact, I was reading books and studying the meaning of each part of the body, and interpreting the position in left side or right side, and yes, I think so, and linking up to past history and family things. So with a lot of creating, a lot of thinking, and a lot of weight and
validation. I hear.
Sorry.
Validation.
Yes.
Giving it good cause.
Yes, and becoming a victim in a way. Yeah.
So, I've done that a lot. I studied around my symptoms. I wanted to know what it means and how it gets worse and what I have to watch out for. And so innocently, we add a lot of thinking to something that just wants to pass through our system. But innocently, because we don't understand what's happening, and we're creating some sort of fear around that. We don't know, why is that pain? What does it mean? We want to know, and we are actually don't serving ourselves and adding more information to it. And I'm not saying it's not sometimes helpful to look up on the internet what things mean and to sort of inform ourselves, but there is a point where we give something the status of a thing because we are making it something and putting labels on it. Well, if we just know it is some thought that passes through the system, and it doesn't mean any more than that, then it's just going to get replaced by the next thought. I know it sounds a bit too simple, but that's what it boils down to. We are creating a very complex object by adding more thinking to something that doesn't mean anything right at the beginning. It's like every thought we have doesn't mean anything until we give it meaning. And if we don't give it meaning, it just moves on. It's like that famous thought that, you know, I want to rob a bank. But then you don't, because you don't listen to it. And the thought just passes through. I mean, some people act on it, right? You can take it on board and make a plan and actually do it. But most people would have, let's call it a silly thought, a thought that just normally just passes through. But in then trying to find out, why am I thinking this? What does it mean? Where does it lead to? Then the future thought, oh God, how long am I going to have to live with this? You know, there's lots and lots of things we're adding to it. And then suddenly it looks like a reality that I have got a pain. And then we sort of, when we find ourselves seeing that we're adding those meaning, we can actually leave it and not do it. And I had recently I had something, we were walking on the beach, and it's a very private beach. There's nobody around. I mean, there was a few people, but you have to sort of walk a good hour before you get back to the car, where you get back to a phone or something. And we were walking on this beach, and maybe after 40 minutes walking, I suddenly had this stabbing pain in my chest. And that was frightening. It really was. And I caught myself thinking, I actually saw the thought, which was lucky. Oh my God, this is serious. I can't be walking here. There's nobody here could save me, because there would be no doctor available quickly, right? Now, I caught myself with that thought. And I was like, who says this is serious, or this could be serious? It's like, oh, wow. I wonder if it's just something that's going to pass through me. And maybe I was just lucky because I saw that, but it actually did disappear. You know, maybe an hour later I noticed that it wasn't there anymore. And it was a stabbing pain in my chest. I could have easily bought into the belief, could be a heart attack, could be a lung embolism. It could have been something serious, which would have probably had a life-threatening effect, but it just simply passed through, and I have no idea what it was. But I saw the thinking. I saw how I was trying to give it meaning. So that's what we do. We notice something, and then we want to know what it is. And that's human. But we are starting something with that. We're starting a story up. But the most important thing in that is that we actually do listen to wisdom. And that was my second thought. I thought, if I wind myself up now with thinking this is serious, I'm not going to be able to listen to wisdom. Because wisdom would have come through me with a knowing in the moment that I would have had to stop and walk back to the car. But that didn't happen. Instead, I kept walking and it passed. But if we buy into the thinking of giving meaning, we are in our personal mind. We are with our own meaning. But we will want to listen to wisdom, and wisdom comes from the other direction. So the clearer I can stay, the more relaxed I can stay, the easier I know I can hear wisdom, and then I can really relax into that, because I know that wisdom is what I want to listen to, not to my own chatter in my mind. I don't know if that helps.
No, sure it does. Thanks.
I'd just like to add another angle, if you like. Because what I was hearing in your question was around the relationship to the pain. So well, I currently have a pain behind my knee, which is some kind of cysty thing going on, and if I think about locking in the way that I understand you were talking about it, is my attention narrows, and my relationship is to only that. So I don't have a relationship to the rest of my body, for instance. I don't have a relationship to the space around me. Or I don't have a relationship to wisdom, as Katya was saying. You know, it's a narrowing of something. And I always know I'm in trouble when I'm narrowing, and that there's something slightly hard about that. And blocking. Yeah. Mm. So for me, anytime I feel, if there's a sense of holding something like this, I know that I'm going in the wrong direction. Whereas if I have a sense of holding something like this and being able to view it or feel it or rest with it lightly, and with a sense of kindness to myself as well, that in itself changes. That relationship changes.
Yes, I think it's the wisdom is the loving kindness.
Mm. Which we're all made of, which is good to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That was a wonderful question.
Thank you.
Lisa, you were...
Yeah, Lisa just sent me a text here. I had to leave the meeting because she had to go, but she asked.
Okay.
She asked the question. Maybe we can. I got another one from Gordon. If we do Gordon first, and then we can answer Lisa's question afterwards. Then I read it. So if you unmute the Gordon.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello, Gordon.
Hi, Gordon.
Hi. Well, that was really great. I really loved what you both just shared, and it almost answered my question. I typed it, and then Katya spoke about her story about following wisdom, and Mick, you described the different feeling state between when you were tightening up and narrowing your focus versus just like looking at it with open hands. The question was, just in your own words, and you've already kind of answered it, both of you, in your own words, what's the different feeling behind when we're following wisdom versus following our like conditioned thinking or recycled thinking? So in a way, you guys both described, you kind of gave me a sense already, but that's the question. The different feeling state behind when we're following our busy thinking versus our wisdom. So yeah, if there's anything else to that you want to add, that'd be great. But I think you kind of answered the question.
For me, it's always softness.
Yeah.
It's always, if there isn't softness, then I know I'm in the wrong direction. I mean, that doesn't mean mushy softness
Yeah.
necessarily, but it means that there's an openness or a an acceptance.
It's like a sense of ease, almost.
A sense of ease and a willingness, a willingness to not run away. And I suppose, if I was ever to do something to go in that direction or to go towards wisdom, I would say that the kind of doing for me is curiosity, but then somehow the softness takes over.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's sounding a bit woolly to me, but
no, that makes wonderful sense, and I love what you said. How if there's any doing, curiosity takes over, and to me, curiosity is almost. It's like a non-doing. It just pulls you forward.
Yeah.
You're just curious. I really like that description. Cool.
Well, I find it fascinating. May I also say something? Because I got complete different words for it. It feels completely different to me. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And this is how we, in an individual way, make sense in different ways, but I share it anyway. It might be helpful for others. But it's like when I know I'm running in the wrong direction, I always get a feeling of tension or urgency. And it's ever so slightly, sometimes more, sometimes less, but there's always a discomfort. It's like, it's like I have to, I should, all the sort of the really sort of an urgency, and I became really sensitive to that. I can feel that, and the opposite for me feels like knowing. I just know. There's no question. There's just no question left. It's just so clear that there's immediate action following the knowing. So I call this inspired action. This is wisdom for me. It's like so clear that as long as I have still questions, I still have two options or more. It's not wisdom. And wisdom comes absolutely clear. Not one option.
Wow.
As long as I
resonated with that, yeah.
As long as I'm saying, shall I do this or shall I do that? None of them are wisdom.
Wow. That's really cool. I'd never really quite heard it described that way. I can really resonate with that. It's inspiring. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
You're welcome.
So, how are people doing? Is there any other questions?
I could read Lisa's question.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Because she will be able to listen to the recording later. What do you think about the placebo effect? So one of my favorites. I love that question. I mean, I've been looking into placebo, not too deeply, just superficially, really. But it's so obvious. It is so obvious that it's nothing but the mind who creates it. It creates the different variations of, we either believe in something and it works, or we don't believe in something and then it doesn't work for us. I mean, I'm actually doubting sometimes now I'm using a certain herbal tea for a certain condition. And the other day I was preparing it and I caught myself thinking, my God, does that really work because the herb works? Or is it only because I believe it does? Am I buying into a placebo here or not? And you can't help it. You either do or you don't, because it's thought. But you can't make yourself believe in a placebo. And I find that fascinating. I just find it absolutely fascinating. And I was listening to a few documentaries, and I was reading a bit here and there. And the most inspiring one was actually they were trying with knee surgeries. I think, was that in Joe Dispenza's book, You Are the Placebo? The knee surgery. Yeah, the knee.
I haven't got that far in it, but I think you said it was, yeah.
The knee surgery. I mean, they've done 2 control groups, and then one had knee surgery, proper one, and it's a knee surgery that's quite common and that usually leads to success and fixes the problems in the knees. And then there was a control group that had only, they were, put through the procedure of the operation, but they've only cut and then stitched them up again without doing the surgery itself. And the results were like mind-blowing. And I think I don't know the numbers exactly, but I think it was a success rate of 62% of the people that had the proper surgery. And it was 87% of the control group that had no surgery and just been stitched up. And 87%. And then it was actually a long-term study, if I remember right, and it was like they were checking in with the people that had a non-surgery after 2 years, and the results were still ongoing. They could suddenly play their sports again, they could walk, they could do what they wanted, and they never had the surgery. It was just cut open and stitched up again. And it just shows you that, what we do on the outside world is like the makeup. We're changing the makeup, but it doesn't change the beauty of the person, because the beauty comes from inside. We can run around and have complete messed up makeup. Look completely beautiful because we're glowing. And I feel this is, the spirit is the glowing, as the natural health that shines through. And the body is the vehicle, which, could either look better or worse or something, but it doesn't really affect the glowing spirit. And the placebos are just something which helps us when it is on the outside to I don't know, it's about relaxing into our nature. When we believe in something that it works, we just relax into life. We give ourselves to it. And in doing that, in giving ourselves to it, nature can come in and heal it. So it looks like it was the surgery, but it isn't. It looks like it's the placebo, but it isn't. It is actually the relaxing into where the healing really comes from. And I've come to see that any form of intervention, it doesn't matter what it is, whether we go for a massage, whether we go for counseling, whether we go for a surgery, it's that knowing we're going to be helped and we relax. And when we just relax, the healing powers of life just can wash through us and clear away the old patterns of thinking that get in the way of the flow. That's what healing is. Healing is just re-establishing the flow. And placebos for me are a form of intervention. It's just fascinating because the whole medical world is relying on those outside-in interventions, but in the reality, like with this knee surgery, the bigger shifts and the bigger changes actually come from the mind itself. I think it's the only way. I think this is why, I mean, I need to finish the book. I haven't read it all, but you are the placebo. And I believe that 100% with my own experience. That completely makes sense. There's nothing else there but our mind. And the body is just like a projection of that.
As you were talking, what came up for me was that about aligning our thoughts. So there is the natural flow, and a placebo helps align our thoughts in that direction. You know, it aligns our thinking to cluster around those kind of beliefs that this is going to work and that this is the best thing for me to be doing. Even if we, I mean, there have been cases where even if people know it's a placebo, it's worked. Because just because they think they're taking something.
Yeah, that's the most fascinating one, you know. It's not just about whether or not you're conscious of your thinking, but unconsciously it's where most of our thinking lies, or subconsciously. It's just completely hidden. And still the shift comes because when life washes through our hidden thinking, it still gets overwritten. And life does that automatically. We don't have to do this. We don't even have to know that that's happening.
So we've now just gone over the hour. Do you think we should, I think it would be great if we just talked a little bit about those two questions that were on the Facebook group.
Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Do you want to read them?
I'll read them first. This first one we've sort of talked a little bit about, but maybe we could talk a little bit more. My question would be, how would you discern between thought and physical pain, ailment, symptoms, etc.? Or is it all thought? For me personally, I've been struggling with some migraines, chronic fatigue type symptoms when all medical results say everything is okay. But I find myself fearing a relapse. Or what if you get a migraine today or feel lightheaded, etc.? And so the loop goes on. I think I see thought and the 3 Ps in other areas, but can't quite see it when it comes to physical health related matters. Thank you. So when I saw that, the thinking that came to me, the thoughts that came to me was that for me, when I have a symptom, you know, whether it's fatigue or pain, I don't have to be at the mercy of it. I can see it as circumstance. I can see it as something that I can have feelings about. I am experiencing my thinking about it. I'm experiencing the feeling of my thinking about it. That's on one level, and that helped me a huge amount to be able to stop the additional thinking, or not stop it, but just the additional thinking didn't happen. So if I was thinking, I remember last year in April when it was really, really hot, and I was thinking I'm not going to be able to make it through the summer because my symptoms get worse in the heat. And I was lying down on the couch thinking, if this is what it's like in April, how am I going to get through July and August? And because I just had enough of a glimpse of the principles at that time, I managed to see the additional thinking and not buy into it, and just see this whole kind of chain of possible thoughts and just not buy into them. So that for me is one aspect which really, really helped, was to be able to let the meaning go. I would say, you know, that in one sense is really, really helpful. And the other thing is, again, coming back to this thing of pain, is pain just thought? Well, when my this thing behind my knee flared up the other day, I was thinking, well, how do I know what kind of pain this is? How do I know the severity of this pain? Because, I mean, this could be, for all I know, this could be far worse than I've ever had before. But my experience of it is just what it is. It's just a particular level. And I'm sure that in the past I would have experienced the same kind of pain much, much more severely. So I don't know, without a shadow of a doubt, how I could calibrate what pain is. Because my experience of pain, or my experience of any symptom, is different in the moment. It keeps changing. There's no, you know, as soon as I have any judgment, oh, this is awful pain, or this is really serious, as soon as I have those kind of thoughts, I know I'm in trouble. I know that I've made it something that is beyond just a sensation. And if I leave it just as a sensation, with that quality of softness that I was talking about before, it's, you know, the self-correcting mechanism can do something else with it. I don't know, do you have something to add to that, Katja?
Oh, yes, of course. You know, the pain itself can also serve us, and that's the tricky bit. You know how Mark always says, when he's a gardener, yoga Mark, when he says that when he runs into some prickly bushes, you know, when he's cutting the hedges, the pain stops him from injuring his skin, injuring himself. So it's like an alarm system for a second. But as soon as that alarm system has done its job, it wouldn't serve us to keep thinking about the pain, because we just keep it in place. But we usually just go over it and say, oh, thanks for that, you know, I was lucky there, I didn't injure myself. So we're saying, when we put our hand on the hot plate, we sort of instantly take the hand away. It's such a fast thought because it prevents more damage. And then there's this misunderstanding that grows from that every time we feel a pain, especially when it's a chronic pain, that we feel we need to understand the message that comes from that pain. And then we add all this thinking, like we said before, we're then making meanings of it, and we're trying to understand it. And then the pain becomes an object of something we feel we need to deal with. And all of that is thought. And the original warning system thought also is thought, but where it serves us. But again, it's wisdom, right? If I take my hand off the hot plate and I take it away, I've acted on inspired thought because I took it away. Right? I'm not going to keep my hand on after I've had this thought, because the mechanism of saving us leads to an inspired action, and this is how I know this is wisdom, to take my hand off the hot plate, right? But as soon as I actually battle with the pain and feel uncomfortable around pain, I'm buying into my personal thinking about pain. And the experience of pain is completely made up. We wouldn't have an experience without thought. It's impossible. I mean, I used to have all those aches and pains all over my body. I was so sensitive, sometimes I couldn't even have any clothes on my skin, or somebody touching me just like that was like, ow, you know, or the sheets on the bed. Oh my God, that was painful. Everything was painful. And then I had like aches and pains in my legs and I just couldn't walk. And when I sometimes have those aches and pains visiting, right? They sort of come along and say, hi, here we are again. And then I notice, and instantly in my head starts this, oh my God, here they are again. Oh, I don't like this. I don't want this. No, not again. And oh God, I don't want to live like this. I hope it goes away. I mean, it's sort of endless. It's an endless amount of chatter that gets added to it. As soon as I notice what I'm doing, I just sort of, oh, okay, I just let it be. Maybe an hour later, I notice it's gone. While before, those aches and pains would stay for years. I mean, this is no exaggeration. That's really true. I mean, I had those sorts of experiences for years. And I kept them in place because I kept observing it. I kept looking at it, kept examining it. How am I doing today? Oh, it's a little better today. I was sort of keeping it in place by observing it all the time. First thought in the morning, oh, how's my legs today? Here we are. Probably during the night I didn't notice it as much because I just didn't think about it that much. And it's like aches and pains are made of thought. And actually, we've all done it. I mean, we cut ourselves somewhere. We never noticed until we see the blood. Ow. Then it starts hurting. There is no pain until we see there's something there. And as soon as we observe it, we think this must be hurting. It's all unconscious, you know, most of it, and it's completely innocent. But there is no experience of the body if we haven't got thoughts. We wouldn't exist if there wasn't a thought of an awareness of things. I know this is, you know what, this is probably the most difficult thing to see in this understanding of the principles. The most tricky. But I can only repeat, the willingness to look in that direction opens the doors for you to see it yourself. Because you will see it in tiny little experiences where you suddenly notice. And that gets confirmed by another one, and by another one, and by another one. And at the end of the day, it's a form of faith, knowing that life supplies us with a self-correction mechanism which wipes away the pain, which you know, I nearly said, and that's actually true. It's like it makes us it changes the pain instead of that we're dreading it, we know it serves us. And it does, because it's also just a experience. And only through our judging it, it becomes something. There's nothing wrong with us when we are in pain, right? It's just our judging. We shouldn't be in pain. We need to understand, and all those things that we add to it that makes it a problematic meaning. Might sound confusing, but
well, that was for Shireen. I don't know if she's on the call actually, but I think she'll get the recording. And we have one more question from Verena. I wonder how to trust wisdom when there is a serious illness and there are many opinions about what to do and what not to do. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make... Oh, no, it'd be great if you would be able to address this. So the question is about trusting wisdom when there is a serious illness and there are many opinions about what to do and what not to do.
I think we've touched it a little bit already, about the two things. First of all, what is a serious illness?
As soon as we have that label,
we come up with that because we want to live. We live in a physical body. We're a human being, and we want to do well, and we want to be healthy. We don't want to be losing our life, which creates lots of thinking. So that's the first thing, is like when we give that meaning, we're putting ourselves against the wall, so to say, of having to do well in order to fulfill that expectation, so to say, that we have. And the second thing is with listening to wisdom, when we then try to listen to wisdom, when our mind is so busy with all this making sense, we got difficulties in hearing the clear, quiet voice. So they go hand in hand. They really go hand in hand. It's like knowing that there's nowhere to fall. Knowing that we're okay no matter what. Knowing that we are just changing form. If something should happen to the physical body, this is the simplest way of saying it, we are changing form. And as tragic as it is on the physical level, on the spiritual level, nothing really changes. And to know that allows us an experience of serious health issues with a quiet state of mind, because we are relaxed. We don't mind. Whatever happens is okay. And then we hear wisdom. And that's the paradox. In the moment when we then hear wisdom, wisdom guides us out of that serious health condition. But we need to be okay with what is. Whatever is okay. That's the knowing our true nature, knowing that we're a spiritual being in a human body, enables us to be fearless with whatever kind of experience we're going through. Really knowing there is nowhere to fall stops all the chatter in our mind. It stops the urgent feeling of wanting to listen to other people's opinions. Doctors are doing their best, but they're giving us their personal view. Okay, they study, they might know things about the physical body, and they really completely innocently, they do their very best to help us. But we know best. Our wisdom knows best. And the door to wisdom is to know that we're okay no matter what. I do the best with my health issues, and I have bits and pieces coming and going, some things visiting every now and then, but I'm always doing the best if I don't care about it. I just don't care. I had a frozen shoulder and it started at the beginning of the year, and it's already gone. So just, at a certain point, I just thought, I don't care. And it's gone. It's much quicker gone than what the average cure of a frozen shoulder sort of outlook is when you look it up on the internet. People say it takes 2 years. Well, I was through with it in 5 months. It's just, I don't care. I don't care. And then in the I don't care, I've got less thinking. And when I got less thinking, I hear wisdom easier because it is a clear mind. And like I said earlier, and then I just know. I just know there's certain things I need to do. And most of the times, there's nothing to do. It's in relaxing and enjoying myself. I got a client, and this client, she keeps running into health issues, and she feels really bad and really weak and got lots of difficulties. And every now and then she gets distracted from her own lifestyle because she gets busy, and she actually, how can I say, she gets distracted in a way without her noticing, okay? And in that moment, when I coach with her and I speak with her, I already notice how she's doing really well, and she tells me how well she's doing and all that. She goes back into her normal lifestyle and she's back down in the mill. And so every time she allows herself to live and really enjoy herself, in a complete neutral way, she gets better. It's like it's naturally, we're connected to that better quality of thinking when we allow ourselves to relax and to enjoy ourselves. And that's when we don't care about our health issues as much. And that brings the healing. It's waking up to the health that is already there. Just to bring it back to our title.
I'm just wondering if anyone has got anything they'd like to say or share about what they've been hearing, then do please send us a message. And we can unmute you, because it'd be really nice to hear from other people what you're making of this, and if you're hearing anything new, or you have a story which resonates with what you've heard.
I have had no further messages except a few people that had to leave, and they were saying thank you for the nice meeting and so on. So at the moment, I haven't got any. Maybe we could just sort of share that very soon. We're going to be available in person. We're doing our very, very first retreat in October, and so if you want to hang out in that sort of conversation with us in person for 2 days and a bit, and walking along the beach maybe, and sitting in Spain, sunny Spain, having a beer together. Naughty. We are up for that.
The beer is optional.
Yes, it might be fruit juice or whatever, but it's just we're going to be, it's the first time we're doing this in person, and we just want to point to that deeper truth of that's already within us, and share our experiences that we had to inspire insight in others. And this is how the whole thing started off. The whole joint venture started off with that idea. So I thought I'd just mention it. I don't know, did you have any more questions? Or?
There's one user who is wanting to add something. Let me just see if I can find the user. Okay. Doesn't have a name, but...
Oh, right.
Okay, you are unmuted.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Because I was just wondering what it works without any microphones and stuff like that.
Perfect. Sorry, what's your name?
Oh, you're Steve.
Yes,
Hello.
yeah.
Hi, Steve. Thank you.
I came in late, so I've missed the majority of this stuff, but I did hear you saying some things about relationship of pain and thought, and so I kind of thought I'd share this little thing. I got arthritis in my left foot, and when it was happening, I wasn't really sure what it was. So, but being a typical man, I just left it for ages and ages, and then I got round to a doctor, and he told me it was arthritis, and so I'm just digesting this, and then a thought just occurred to me, because what most people would think about is arthritis, oh God, is going to hurt forever and ever, amen. And it just kind of hit me that, well, I had the pain, and the pain's done its job, so is there any point in me feeling the pain anymore?
Mm.
And it just stopped. So it went away completely. And when I say to some people, it just does not compute. Or some people will kind of say that, well, don't you need the pain to know it's there? But I already know it's there, so what's the point in feeling the pain? And they still have a problem with kind of like, but if it's some kind of thing, shouldn't it be like uncomfortable, this, the other? And, well, really, no. No, yeah. No, well, that's all I wanted to say. That.
Thank you. No, that's really lovely.
That's brilliant, Steve, because that sort of confirms that no, we are running a bit towards the end of the meeting. But my mum, she had a degenerative arthritis in her foot, and she was running around in pain for 9 months. And I had her here in Spain, and she went to have a treatment. And at the end of the day, the pain just completely disappeared. And she couldn't believe it, because how can that be? It was diagnosed, so how can it just disappear? But it was actually the case, and it still is. And sometimes when she's feeling a little low, she can still feel the pain. And then I say to her, Mom, don't forget, you don't have to believe that. She says, you're right. And it goes away again. And this is degenerative arthritis, which the doctors have actually said needs to have surgery to ever be able to survive with this condition, because the pain must be horrendous. But there is no pain anymore. So thank you for sharing that.
Okay. No problem. Fine. Oh, do you want me to say anything more? Or?
No, that's
No,
great.
it's lovely. Thanks.
Thank
Steve.
you. Thank you.
Yes,
So
well,
I think we're pretty much coming to the end, and Katya's mentioned our little retreat in Spain, which is an opportunity to take this a bit deeper if you want, if that is of interest. And in addition, we want to create this opportunity on a regular basis, so that next month we will be doing this again, and hopefully being able to explore more questions and hear from people, you know, with more about what they've got. So that's going to be on the September the 12th at the same time. And anything else you want to say about that, Katya?
I'm just finding my little notes here if there was anything else. Oh yes. Every time we have a meeting, we're going to come up with a different little subject. So if there is any subjects you feel the need you would like to hear us to speak about, so please let us know, because we're going to come up with a title. Whether it's, you know, maybe about tension in the body or fatigue or whatever, we're gonna be trying to focus the interest into a certain subject, so that you know, people who have certain issues can expect information about that. If that makes sense. We haven't got a title for the next one, but it's the 12th of September, same time. So looking forward to it already.
Also, you know, just to remember that this was our first one, and you know, this is very much an organic process of discovery for both of us, and it will evolve, and it will become what is, you know, most useful. So if there were things tonight that didn't quite work for you or whatever, then please give us some feedback, and we will take it forward onto the next one. That's great. So I will unmute everyone so that we can say goodbye, and have a wonderful evening.
Well, thank you all so much for being there.
Okay.
Thank you, Katya. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Big hugs and lots of love to all of you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.